Good evening, people. Welcome to 21 Questions. I am your host, IC. And if this is your first time joining us, this is put on by the Sit Down UK. Okay, and the Sit Down UK is all about empowering and curating, empowering and inspirational stories and conversations. So since last year, we've been doing that. We've been back to back every Thursday, 9 p.m. Since March 2020, since lockdown hit. And what we've been trying to do is create a series of conversations that you can listen back on and just glean so many great gems of wisdom from. All right. So if you want to do that, feel free to jump onto our IGTV and you can watch seasons 1, you can watch season 2. There's at least 50 plus episodes from amazing people in our community doing amazing things. So please do, if you want to, check that out. We are going to be starting up our events again now that the lockdown is opening. So if you do want to be in the know of when we have our dates, when we have our tickets available, please click the link in our bio, join our mailing list. Okay, we are only having 200 max, 200 members on that mailing list. After that, it's closed. So if you want to be in on tickets and come to our live events, click the link in our bio, join our mailing list and be part of the special, the elite 200. All right. Now I'm going to address the elephant in the room. Elephant in the room right now is I got a haircut. Woo! Finally, after how many months? Big up Diallo, big up Ernest, my people, my barbers, doing me up fresh. But yeah, I normally wear a hat all the time, but let's come fresh today. Today we are going to be raising money for an amazing charity, Mind Charity, who are involved in helping people with mental health, providing resources, providing information. So if you do want to get involved, please, what we're trying to do each week is to pick a charity and to get people to give, get people to get involved. So it's not just take, but we give back. Okay. So if this is something that is close to your heart or you understand what they do, Mind Charity are all about providing resources, providing information to help people on their mental health journeys. If you want to donate to that, click the function at the bottom. And if it's £2, £3, £4, £5, whatever it is, whatever you feel can be of assistance to them, feel free to give. All right. But without further ado, we're going to join our guest today, Marvyn Harrison, an amazing gentleman who has led an amazing movement with Dope Black Dance, but is an amazing individual in himself. And we're going to unpack his journey. So if you do have questions during the course of the interview, drop a question at the bottom of the screen. And we'll go through it as we go through the normal questions. All right, Marvyn, let's come over to you. How you doing, bro?
Hey, bro. Hey, what's going on, man?
I'm good. This is a good setup. Whoa, what is this?
No, I had to go in. I needed the noise cancelling levels today. Can we just talk about how smooth you are right now, bro? You was doing a whole smooth vibey thing just then.
What was I doing?
It was like jazz radio when you were doing your intro, bro.
It's just an instrumental on YouTube.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
It's so calm. I was probably getting lulled in. I was just like chilling. I got comfortable. I adjusted in my seat.
Oh, jokes. How you been today?
Good, man. Really,
Yeah.
really good. Yeah. I'm working I'm working on something that I'm not good at right now. So my mind is really tuning into every time I do it, it's a real energy drain because I'm like putting everything in it to make it anything good. It's one of those things, man.
Are you
How you doing?
Are you allowed to divulge what it is?
Not yet.
Not yet. How am I? Well, my daughter started to do some amazing sleep regression. So my sleeping has been abysmal. So I'm tired. I've been tired throughout the day, but you know, these lives always they rejuvenate. So you know, emotionally, physically, everything. So I thought, let's do it. And yeah, I'm sure.
How old is she now?
Two.
Yeah, it goes through phases, bro. I think they just realize that you're just like round the corner, and then they start gassing up a little bit and wanting to get involved more. There's like an awareness that they have because and the thing is, there's a point where they're so quick and like my son now is too tired at 7:30 to fight me. Very rarely does he fight me.
7:30. That's a good time.
He listen 7:30 is just like bed, and so but because he runs around from basically 7 a.m. he's just shattered. And I think that's when it's gangbusters.
Yeah.
It doesn't last forever because there's a point where they're going to want to play FIFA until 2 a.m. But like for now, we got this like analog. I'm going to go play outside tiredness, which is like amazing.
Love it. Well, welcome to 21 questions. You got 21 questions or more that are going to be asked. You have one pass card. So if there's a question that you don't want to answer, you can use your pass card.
I know there's only one area where I'm just passing. wherever I know. Other than that, I'm down. I'm not going to tell you, but other than that, I'm super down. I'm open, but there's one area where I'm just like, pass, bro.
We've had about 60 plus episodes. I think it's only been used once.
Really? People are really transparent.
Yeah.
My Lord. I feel bad.
So welcome to everyone that's joined us to 21 questions. This is put on by the SITDOWN UK. We're going to be starting our events up hopefully next month or so. So join our mailing list, man. Come on down. We'd love to see you. But without further ado, let's get into it. We're going to start with a quick fire round. Don't think too much about it. These are just going to come off the top of your head. Boom.
That defeats the whole object of my whole planning to say no to something. It's just like, oh shit. I said it there. It's like Rihanna.
Favorite song on Usher 8701?
Oh, You Don't Have to Call.
You know how to. Oh yeah, that video is amazing.
Listen, the video made me. Listen, if any guy of my age didn't sing that tune,
come on,
in the boogie tonight. Yeah, that if you didn't do that, you weren't cool. Yeah, I know for a fact if I was in a real gang, my real gang would have been like a singing, dancing gang. It would have been that. I'd have been that guy.
Come on, Usher, that video is. I can do some of the moves.
If you could do any of the moves, you're gangbusters, bro. I can't.
Second question: pick only one UK versus. What one UK versus would you love to see?
I actually mapped out all the verses that I did want to see.
Yeah, I saw one. It was amazing. You had like a good list.
I can't remember who I put on there. I think it was like whoever I put Kano with. I'd actually like to see Kano and Gets actually.
Wow.
It would be a bit weird because I think Kano has more songs.
Yeah.
In the early part of his career, but I'd like to see them just bar back to back, just for the sake of it. He's got the best 36 or 64.
I love it. Favorite life quote?
These are really good questions because I don't have anything. What did I see the other day where I've been posting a lot of quotes recently, so there's a couple that really resonate with me, but there was something about growth. Like growth is just quite isolating, so I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was just like you got to do that journey alone. It's funny because I'm in a loner stage right now. Like I'm just isolating because I know there's something I got to figure out. And
we got COVID.
No. Just in general, just like when I think like when you go through life, and obviously I love people, so I'm always around people. But when I'm going through a particular growth stage, like I go to the mountains.
Okay, just shut off.
I'm in the mountains because I think there's just things that I gotta review, and I think it's just important. I can't, stagnate. So there was something about isolation and growth that I just find really powerful. It really resonated with me.
And is that something? Oh, you're making me go into it already. But is that?
Sorry.
Is that something that Is that something that comes upon you, or is that something that you strategize and plan out? So in your mind, you're thinking, you can see the trigger points and you're like, oh, it's mountain time. Or there's something happening and you're like, oh, well, I'm actually in it. I need to go to the mountain.
Well, it always happens, bro. You know what's funny, is that every time I think I got something together, I don't. So I succumb to the process in a way where like I listen to like what's being said and what's delivering, what shows up in my life. I listen to it, man. And so transformation is painful as hell. And you know, like if you intentionally do work, you can push through certain boundaries, but then you have to go back into life. You can't do it you can't do it out in the corner and be like, my new way of being is to never spend time with anybody. Then you're not doing anything. But I think my challenge was just boundaries. I never really had any. And so it's now become about, but then you have to be mindful that you don't create walls and then you're isolated, but you also don't just like, go there and just like reveal shit that doesn't need to be revealed. So it's just a balance of who I am versus who I need to be.
Oh my gosh, what a journey! That is a journey. Favorite scene in Wedding Crashers?
Oh, bruv, it's the funeral crashes, bruv, and he's like humping, and he's like, like that for me is like dark comedy to the highest. Like I feel like I just speaking to Masito and Marvin, and they were like, so what? Like, if you did you want to be a rapper? And like, what was the bar that you had that you tried to rap? And I was like, I don't have none of that, but comedian.
Oh wow!
I would listen. I don't have a joke. I've not written a joke.
Yeah.
But I think I'm that level funny. Like I feel like in my life I am hilarious, and I don't know if people like laugh at me because like they feel like they might not get paid or something. But like in the reality, I feel like I'm funny, and I won't stop for no one. I don't care if you agree or not.
Did you ever have an opportunity to do that at that Sunday show?
No, listen.
No.
So what was really funny, the way I kind of started in events was quite interesting. So I had a mentor, Carl Ramsey. I think you might have met him as well.
Okay.
Do you know Carl Ramsey? So yeah, Carl Ramsey. I actually think I met him. That's how I met you. I came to KICC with him,
Ramsey.
and you were rapping, and I was like, "Why are you making God so cool? Like, what's going on, bro?" And so that's how I first met you. But anyway, so Carl Ramsey was like, he's just someone that mentored me and kind of showed up. So he's the one that kind of got me introduced to it. But I know my limitations. That's a thing that I have learned over the years. It's not to stand in places that I shouldn't be.
Favorite Sega Mega Drive game?
Streets of Rage.
Ooh.
Streets of Rage. Like we used to call for the backup and it was Gangbusters. Oh my lord. Like that, just to press the button is like yeah, come on, bro.
Have you got one? Have you got a Mega Drive?
I got nothing, bro. I don't have a single computer game. I don't even have a game. I have nothing. I don't even have games on my phone.
You're not that type of person?
I used to be historically, and I feel like most of the things that I was traumatized with as a child, I recreated into my life, but I haven't really bothered. I used to love a good game of ISS.
Oh, Pro Evolution.
Like International Superstar Soccer. Are you mad? I used to spend hours on that thing. And when Ronaldo first came out of his bald head and he was just like long range, top corner from everywhere. Yeah, I used to love playing football on it, but I think my affinity to football changed, and I think gaming went with it.
Okay. What was your last happy moment?
Right now, bro. I've had like 3 belly laughs already since I got here. They were authentic.
Love to hear that. Last book you bought that you are still yet to read?
So I'm one of those people that buys a lot of books of intent and never reads a single one. So I genuinely, authentically have about 20 books, all by like people that I know, my friends, like amazing black authors. I think the closest to that I've got to read is Afterwards and Akala's. I read a little bit of Reggie's, a little bit of Wiley's, a little bit of Target's. But I just don't complete books. I'm an audio learner, so I usually put on some sort of audio and then just run around the house. My favorite book at the moment is Untethered Soul. I listen to that often. Okay.
Audio over. I like the books because I make notes in the books. But you have to. When you're reading a page and then you realize that you just read something, but you didn't even
internalize it.
So you got to read the whole thing again.
Yeah.
And I think because of lockdown, before I was traveling to work, so it was easy. Now, you've actually got to find space. It's difficult. When did you last cry and why?
I cry all the time, bro. What did I cry for last? Probably. Do you know what? It's the film Chef. The film Chef with Jon Favreau.
Okay.
There's a moment in it where Jon Favreau is basically a chef. He gets fired from his like high maintenance restaurant, but he was like one of those chefs that was like critiqued, well written about. People loved him, and he's now been in this place for a while, and so he starts to get like stale. And then this blogger comes in and says, I'm going to go check out this person's new restaurant. He comes in and he wants to do all this fancy stuff, but the owner's like, absolutely not. So then he argues with him, and then they finally end up quitting, and then the blogger just critiques him anyway and rips him a new one. So now he's like depressed, and then he goes to the other side of the country somewhere. He gets a food truck, and him and his son are now on this journey to drive the food truck back to LA, I think it is. And there's just some beautiful moments, like son and father moments, that are so like pure and simple. But then it made me really realize how absent little things like that were in my life. Like I never really had those moments. And so there's one moment where they go and get these things called beignets together, which are basically like a donut. And he's been talking about them throughout the whole film. So they go and do that, do some other stuff, come back, and they get back, and then there's like a queue outside the truck. And so everyone's just like, he's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Let's go. So he's like going through. It's like, I wonder how they got here. And the son's like, he's like 8 or something. He's like, oh, I tweeted it. And he's like, what do you mean you tweeted it? What's that? What'd you do? Because he's like a technophobe. And then he shows him how he tweeted him, and he took amazing pictures of the food. And that is a massive queue. And it's just this moment where he realizes that he can have a business and a career outside of that shop, and it like comes real to him. And he's like, that's my son. My son did that to me. He's so amazing. And he's just so like, overawed by what his son had done to create that. It just was really like a beautiful moment. I cried. I was with my friend, and I was just like, yeah, man, like it's mad, isn't it? Mad. You know, your nose flare just mad.
Oh snap, hold on. Let me get my charger. Hold on.
Yeah. So for everyone listening, I cry all the time, and I think it's like important for if you feel that way to do it. It's like a tool, man. You just let it out if you feel it, because otherwise, this is why people become monsters, because they don't.
Yeah, sometimes you know what? There's certain films or even songs that will just catch you unawares. You just be like, I don't know, you're watching something and you're like, whoa, that's triggered me.
Yeah. It's like a little memory. So it's a lot of films and stuff. I always cry at Pursuit of Happiness.
Oof, don't start with that.
It's the scene where he gets the job and he walks out and he's clapping his hand and walking through the crowd. Because I think every guy knows that feeling of like, I can now provide for my family and what that means. So that always gets me.
But in that same film, the one that gets me is the bathroom.
Yeah. Where he's just like, he's scared and like, but like, I got to do this. Yeah. The pain of black men, only black men really understand. And I don't mean to be dismissive, but like, there's a fabric of understanding, you know, what you go through to try and create for others. So it's a good thing. And also Arsenal will make me cry at least once a week. So it's good.
Well, I'm lucky. I'm a glory hunter, so I have no problem.
What does that mean? You support Man United, or you just change teams?
Whoever's on top, that's who I support.
No, we can't talk about football. It's fine. Next question. It's good. It's cool. We can't talk about it. Sorry. I tried to go down this road. I was like, no, disconnected.
Give me one conversation that has changed your life for the better.
I feel like I've always had an interruption by a man at a particular point in my journey. I've had 2 very powerful mentors, Carl Ramsey and Richard Antwi. And at different times, they've just provided that little piece in my life that I just didn't have. And so a lot of my later development has been more formal in like therapies and coaching frameworks and that type of stuff. But my earlier frameworks were just like, you know, seeing an example of anything and just pretending to emulate them. And so Carl Ramsey just taught me about you can be black, conscious and powerful in a way that I didn't know. So he was like around Floetry at the time. I think he was like a part of their 3+1 group. Him, Darwood, that's where I know Black Jesus from. There's a guy called Nolan. But also like Melvin and Ricky was around. Femi, who does IAG. Nee, Odart, who's Odarte, who's in Dope Red Dads as well. There was just a group of men, people really, that were just incredible, creative, smart, powerful people, and I didn't know they existed up until then. I only knew what was on my estate, so they showed me a lot. And then Richard Antwi was like the first person I saw be black, successful and clean. And when I mean clean, I don't mean like just illegal money. I mean like clean as a person. Like he just was so smooth to the point like I used to you know, when we used to sit down, I used to just stare at him. I don't think I actually was very useful to him in any way, shape, or form. But I was like, you exist?
Yeah.
Like, smart black man from a state go on to Oxford and be clean-hearted and dope. And at the time, I was doing Sunday show. And, like, every week, you get paid cash. So I was throwing money on the bed, and like I was like, oh, that's another week, and just like whatever. And he challenged me, man. He was just like, what else can you be like? What do you want to do? And we sat down and we came up with some really cool ideas. And I feel like for that 2-3 years that I was around him, I just learned a lot about being a person actually, and refining my sophisticating my approach to business. So I'm eternally grateful to both of them, man.
Oh, big up Richard, man. Rest in peace, man. Okay, well, you made it through the quick fire round. Light work. That was easy for you.
I spoke way too much for a quick fire round. I'm sorry. I just destroyed your concept.
Let's go from the start. Let's look at one of your happiest memories in childhood that you can recall.
Bruv. This is the kind of shit that I was going to pass on.
Yeah.
So, so it's interesting. I think my best times was when me, my brother, and my sister. So, shouts to my youngest sister who wasn't born yet. But
I didn't even know you had siblings.
Yeah. So I like an only child. That's why. But like, me, my brother, and my sister used to just play games. It was so free and happy. I don't know if you remember this TV show called Go Getters.
Yeah, Go Getters. Yeah.
So Go Getters was like they'll set you a task and you get in a van and you got to drive around, kind of like how Apprentice is with their like tasks, where it's like go get these items. It's a bit like that. So we used to pretend that shit in our living room. So bearing in mind, we would take you used to have a 3-piece sofas. You had the long 2-3 seater, and you have the two. Yeah. So we'll somehow pick them up, put one on top of the other one, get inside it, and pretend that we're in a car. And we're like,
wait, you would put the
8 to 11.
You'd put the
small sofa, single chair one, armchair one with armchair two, and put it on each other upside down. One top? Upside down and one on top. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it created like a shell that you can get inside of, and we would just pretend to drive around. Emergency. You need to go and get, and then we'll run upstairs, go get some shower gel, and bring it back. Like we played this game in our heads, and I think it was the purest time ever because it was just about imagination and fun. There was no objective. An objectiveless life has always been sold as something as a negative as an adult, but I think it's like amazing just to be free to be. Yeah. So that's probably my happiest time, and I don't really remember my teens, to be honest. I don't know why, but I have a black hole in memory of just like 11 to 16, 17. I remember nothing.
Wow. I remember I interviewed JME, and he said similar, the same thing, that him, Skepta, Julie, all of them, their power when they were younger was their imagination. So they would create, if they didn't have it, they would create it. And I think that's what as we get older, it's the struggle to hold on to, that creative child that can just create from nothing and be free in that. No objective, not to sell, not to put on Instagram, but just to be free, Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like we know too much as adults, and I think that's a part of the problem.
Yeah, that's true. So I walked my daughter to Tesco, and there was a bench, and I said, "Oh, do you want to jump?" And so we got onto the bench, and she jumped the first time. I was like, "Oh, great, well done." I was like, and then we were going, but then she wanted to go back, because she'd seen a girl go past us and go and do the same thing. I was like, okay. So she went back. When she got to the edge, the first time I helped with my hand. The second time I thought, okay, let me see if you can just do it. The moment she was like, whoa, there's a height difference between the floor and this thing, she was like, I don't know. And so I had to help. And it just showed me that, she had just sucked in the information of, oh my gosh, I could fall. I could, and fear came, and that, this kind of disorientated her. But like you said, like that knowledge that we have, we know so many things. It prevents us from just being, just being, man, just being. Okay, in past interviews, I've heard you talk about love, like plugging the gaps, like love from your mum's particularly. And you were raised raised around a lot of strong women. With love plugging the gaps, and there was a part you mentioned where your motherly love, sometimes you forgot how much your mum had done. That she had done, her love had really plugged all these gaps, but you forgot. What woke you up to what she had done and the things that she kind of
I think I've a woman in my present, to be honest. I've always been surrounded by like amazing black women, and not in like a performative sense. They just are. Like it's been something that I would say it's intentional, but it's also subconscious. I naturally just have a drive and affinity to the energy, I've been that way since the beginning of time. And so I think for me, what it is like I equate the feminine energy to like nature, and in many ways, you know, it's almost like you're looking at an incredible view. And so I think when I have those people around, it inspires things that I can't get in masculinity. And so being around them and listening to them, you know, shouts to Leanne from Dope Black Women. I always credit her to a large part of my awareness at particular points. Another friend of mine, Kimberly Hitchin, like being around Nina. Like Nina's just a light. Like she doesn't carry anything with her day to day. She's just a light. And then when they used to tell me about their challenges, I used to be like, yeah, I know it's tough, isn't it? But like slightly not really listening. And then I think this is one day where they really just like, I just heard a conversation and I was like, shit, you really have to make a lot of considerations for your existence, like that I would never think about. And then one day when I was walking my son, so my son must have been like 2 weeks old, and we hadn't left the house yet. We were shit scared. We were like, like you don't even breathe next to your child. You're like, yeah. And so Nina was tired, so I was like, I'm gonna take my kids out, man. I'm gonna take him out. I don't care. I'm gonna go for it. So I went out. And I'm walking on the pavement, and this is when I realized like how trash Hackney is, because the pavements were so knobbly and bobbly. It was driving my. It's like, if you wake my child, I'm gonna write a stern letter to the council. Like I turned into a Karen. And so I get to my mum's house, which is 15 minutes away, and then I'm setting up, and then we just get into this conversation, and I'm just like, the stuff I just didn't know. The stuff I didn't know. I thought she was just like always happy, because she smiled and she was always vibing. And there was times where she cussed us out and you could tell she was stressed, but I think by and large she was happy. She was the epicenter of our family, so I wasn't aware of the level of impact and the things that she had gone through. And then when I listened to her for one evening, it changed my life. I've now changed the way I interact and the way I connect with people. All those things had to be redesigned, because it's just not healthy. Like we have to really hold ourselves to account as men about the impact that we create for women. And it's funny because when Noel Clark got outed as a whatever, I don't know what the actual word is, but all that story came out about him. A couple of women rang me and was like, where do you think the men are right now? And I was like, I'm going to be really honest with you. I don't know this for sure, but I feel like many men don't know the crimes that they've done. So they don't want to stand up and yell at another man about his things, because then you've got to stand in your own decision-making over the last 15, 20 years. Wow. If people are going back to like when you're like, yeah, you were 15 and you like grabbed my boob, you know, how many men can sit there and be like, they've never done anything. They never kissed somebody without full consent. They never, crossed their boundaries. You never kissed their cheek. You never held their hand. You never did anything. You can't. It's a hard thing to consciously be aware of and stand next to. So I think a lot of people leave the conversation and I don't want anything to do with it. But I think my thing is like, I have to be prepared to fail and get it wrong. And it's a high cost. I got stuff to lose. Like, it's not like, I'm just a dude. I've got stuff to lose. But I do feel like there's something about just owning the space, and not in like an entitled way. Like, yeah, if you told me it, like, I'm genuinely submitting to the process that I may have got an interaction wrong with somebody over the years. And in fact, I want to hear about it. Some of the people that I just had normal interactions with that didn't go well, I used to ring them and just be like, I'm sorry, man, for my contribution to the thing. It's not really about like, you were wrong because you said. It's just like, I contributed to that. I was a part of that. We fell out, and that's not okay. So, and I think there was one person, who I know who just cried and was like, do you know what? Actually, that event changed my life quite a bit, and it was the beginning of quite a lot of negative things that happened for me. And so just to have you say that was really powerful. And It made me realize how much impact I can have as an individual in someone's life. I don't like, and maybe you have a little bit of this as too. But I have a real thing of like, I don't think I mean anything. And it's mad because I do so much, but I don't walk around with a like, yeah, I'm Marvin, I can, and I am, and it doesn't even enter my brain, even for a second.
Mm.
And so, you know, sometimes I miss, like I overshoot or I undershoot myself.
Mm.
And so that can be possible. You can impact people without meaning it,
Yeah.
without trying to be like intentional. So it's just a thing that I've become aware of, man.
Yeah, I hear that. Marcella mentions here accountability is key for forgiving self and giving peace to the person that may have been affected. Yeah, definitely. And I think there's something in what you said about something that more so alludes to like male privilege that we have. And I only realized, I only woke to it like a couple of years ago. But just like you said, there are things that we do as men that are second nature. But a woman will have to go through so many processes in her mind before even thinking of it. And I remember watching one interview, a woman said, a man might say he wants to go jogging right now, 9:30 p.m. Just down the road, just go for a quick jog. But a woman will have to analyze and digest, what do I wear? Where do I go? It's just so different. And I think it's that element of stepping in those shoes, hearing those conversations, not even having to defend anything, but just hear how it is, how they live on the other side. You know,
It's really powerful, man. It's really powerful.
I remember we did a photo shoot, and with all the dope black dads and everything. And I remember you brought your son. Was it your son you brought? Was it both your children?
Probably.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
And I just remember, I just observed you because I remember that Blake wanted to. They would take a shot. And they had placed Blake in a certain way, but he wanted to sit a certain way. And you were like, and I remember you said, oh, do you want to sit this way? Okay, you want to sit this way. Oh, you want to stand? Okay, you want to stand. And from a father's point of view, I observed and thought, wow, like, it was so accommodating. Whereas from our culture, especially from the kind of the black diaspora, there's no accommodation. This is how we sit. The man over there is taking a picture. Sit down, be quiet. And I just want to ask, in terms of your parenting and just being a father, what are the joys that you have found in Blake? What are the joys that you've found in being a father to Ocean, and also the hardships?
Yeah. I think being a parent is the most transformative thing I've ever experienced because I believe in myself enough that I can create anything from anything. I'd have a fearless attitude. Parenting doesn't operate on that frequency because children are so honest. They're not here to serve you. They're not here for your imagination. They don't care about your fears. They don't care about your lack. They don't care about your embarrassment. They're not here for that. They're their own people in their own right. And so there is no manipulation with children. There is literally like you have to tap into something else. And so, you know, for Blake, I channel my inner self. Like, what did I need at 5? And I listen to that a lot. And so I listen to him because he tells me. I feel like he's a person today, and I think that's always slightly underrated. You know, I think we believe our children like, I'm gonna feed you with what I know. And it's like he's living his life in real time. He knows stuff. He'll tell me. The thing about Blake here is that he's got the best of me and Nina, but to actually quite annoyingly so, because he's very, very process driven. So like if we tell him the next 3 steps of the things we're gonna do, we can't defer from that. Like, no, you told me we're gonna do this and this. Or you told me not to yell when you're yelling, Mom, Daddy. You're like, you know, he holds me to account to the highest order. And when I see myself come back at me through him, it's humbling. So I have to be on my job. With me, Ocean she has my lion, my inner lion, but with the softness of what Nina has. And for me, that you can do whatever the hell you want when you have that. Like when you know when to engage your lion, you're not scared of it. You know when to activate it. She's something else. Her wisdom at 3 is wild. So you know, like, and I'll be honest, yeah, there used to be like, you know, sometimes you hear that a child might go missing. And you'll see the parents and they'll be like, I knew her, she's this, she was that. And I used to look at it and be like, how much could you know at 3? I'm probably 15 at the time. I don't know shit. So like, I'm just like, but when you have your own children, they're here. They're here. It's so beautiful. So my wins are just, I get to experience that. Like I get to experience like the truest form of love I've experienced ever in my life grow in front of my eyes. And I think the hardest part is to not do some of the overbearing stuff that historically my intuition is to manage. I just coach. I'm a coach.
Yeah.
That's all I do. I'm just Pep on the sidelines. And like, you know, I'll tell you the story real quick. My son, every Thursday I take him karate. So on a Wednesday, he's like up. And I'm like, listen, it's bedtime. Yeah, it's 9:30 p.m. He's got school, then karate. I'm like, listen, it's bedtime. He's like, nah. He's like, no, Marv, nah, I'm not going to bed. Nah. Doing all this, yeah. And so I said, bro, if you don't go to bed, I'm gonna teach you a real lesson right now. Like, it's like, I'm not joking. And he goes, nah. He's like voice noting me, nah. So I was like, all right, cool. I said, if you don't go to bed right now, you are going to regret it in the morning. Okay, so obviously that sounds like from our realm, but we don't have that relationship. So he's not thinking I'm going to beat his ass. So I get there in the morning. I arrive at 7 a.m. No, 7 a.m. I wake him up. I go fill a 5-liter bottle that you use for gym with water, and he's doing incline running. He's doing 20 laps, and so I was like, go. And he got to 10 and he was like, he tried to collapse on me. And I was like, no. I'm coaching him. I'm just like, listen, yeah, we had this conversation yesterday. Yeah. I told you what was going to happen. I'm here today to let this happen right now. You got to do your inclines. And so he just takes a deep breath and he goes and does his rest. So he does the 20 of them. And then his sister's like, you know, she does 10 because she's like, I'm going to help you. So she's like doing it together. And then like, then I later on that evening I'd come back to go take him to karate, and he's like, I'm tired, and I'm ringing him, he's not answering, he's like cancelling my calls.
Oh my gosh.
And so I get there and I'm like, why are you not answering my calls? He goes, because I didn't want to go and I know you'll make me. And I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. So I'm sitting there talking to him. I was like, look, I tell you what, you don't have to go if you don't want to go. We pushed you this morning, we learned some lessons, but you have to understand next week is karate time, but you also have to go to bed on time. And he doesn't play now. So when it's bedtime, he just goes. He's like, no, Dad, because he understands there's a consequence to the inaction or an action. And I feel like, you know, I wanted lessons delivered to me like that, like in little ways, and I didn't get it. So, you know, from the lens of a man, that's only a dad would do that, by the way. Like, you don't listen to me, you're going to do incline running like at 7 a.m. in the morning, and I'm going to wake you up. That's a dad thing to do, man. But like, it was done with love, like real love and coaching. And so it didn't feel like punishment to him. He was just being pushed. And I feel like, you know, the barrier between like pushing them and it being like almost like abusive is thin, to be honest.
Very thin, yeah.
But when it's done with love and it's not, you know, because so then my gift to him is that when he told me he was too tired to go karate, I didn't push him again.
That's big, because, you know, I'm putting myself in that shaft and telling my mind a bit, no, you're going to karate because in that is the lesson. And you're going to learn in karate how tired you are. That's the lesson. But
if you don't know your kids' limits, you will push them into a dark place and into unhealthy ways of coping. So, you know, you break your relationship. So I think the lesson was the lesson. He did the inclines.
And
he understood karate for the next time, and it's all good, you know? And I think there isn't like a book of like 101 equals. It's always just slightly just listening and then knowing when to push and knowing when to pull, knowing when to hug him. So anytime we have a moment, I make sure I give him an authentic embrace at the end of it. It's never just left as like, go to your bed, it's always like, come here. And now he doesn't want to, but I don't care. I kiss him all the time. He hates it. All over his face, his forehead, he just gets it. He's like, you're trying to be too cool for me right now.
Yeah. You spoke about that inner, fighting those inner, those instincts as a parent, especially as a father, like culturally. what else have you had to unlearn? Because me and my wife, we're going through that now in terms of our parenting. And we had a conversation the other day about the war between internal parenting. This is what I want to do as an individual, as a parent, versus culturally what I know we do. And those two constantly warring together, and then trying to understand, okay, what do you want to create in the home? What have you had to kind of unlearn culturally as a parent?
I think my mum was mad cool, man. She was just her punishments were really sophisticated. They weren't basic. So, and she was always love, and I think that's where I get the core of it from. I think a lot of my unlearning is about what's possible.
Okay.
That's my area. Like, I do want my child to be a little bit entitled, I want him to feel confident just to walk into a room and be like, yeah, why can't I get $250,000 for my business idea? I want it. And I think when I grew up with so many can'ts and don'ts. Like, I just, my world was so small. Like, my worldview was just like, I want to get a job at Sainsbury's and I hope they pay me. I like the idea of shelf stacking. What's interesting is like Sainsbury's actually didn't hire me. Sainsbury's in Dalston. For anyone that used to know, it's where the what's in there now? It used to be Peacock. I can't remember what's there now. Lord, is it M&S now?
Oh yeah.
That used to be a Sainsbury's way back in the day, and I used to dream about working there. Like, dream. It was the most amazing job. It was calm. It was like, you go there, you stack shelves. It's so peaceful. You get everything facing the front, all that stuff. And I remember I wrote my application form. That's when that used to be application form. I didn't get the job, and then I got a job at Waitrose in Belgravia. In like maybe 5 years later, I might have been 21. And it was a great job. Like, I took a lot of pride in. I was in charge of fruit and veg. I took a significant amount of pride in doing it. I think manual work is just important. Even if you're, I do a lot of mental work, but I'd like to have one thing. Like, now I'm like doing some furniture. I really enjoy just doing manual things. It's a nice adjustment. And so that's all I really wanted, to be honest. I wanted to work there. So anything after that has always been a bonus. And I've always been really relaxed about whatever else came after that, because I didn't think I was going to be anything, to be honest. So it was just a bit of a thing.
Yeah. I hear that. Love that. Big up to everyone that's joined us so far for 21 questions. So far, we've actually raised £10 for Mind Charity. Come on. Let's rack it up. We've been chatting with Marvyn Harrison just about parenting, childhood so far. And time's talking the hardest. I wanted to talk about killing your parents.
You did some Googling.
Killing your parents. I really love this concept. And was it from Robert Greene?
I'm not even sure where it's from.
Yeah.
Anymore.
Break it down for us. Killing your parents. How everybody.
There's a particular word that's missing that fundamentally makes that slightly less scary, which is symbolically kill your parents. Yeah, don't kill your parents.
Yeah, I forgot. This is going to go up. It's going to be on the live.
My mum at home now, like.
Symbolically killing your parents. Tell us why everyone needs to kind of come to that kind of stage in their relationship.
It was this understanding, that like, as adults, we still have our children in us. And so sometimes as adults, when we're around our parents, we become children again. But in the present day, you're a grown-ass man. And like, but you're acting like a child, and your wife and your children are watching you become a child in that moment. You can't lead your family from the perspective of a child. And so we asked this question to a couple of people where it was like, if you had to choose between your child, yourself, your mum, or your wife, a lot of people had their mums as number one. And I was like, I'm going to be authentic. I'm number one. Like, I'm number one for sure. Now, what people think that selfishness is about, or that self-interest is like at the cost of everybody else. It's not the cost of everybody else. My child won't be hungry and homeless, do you know what I mean, as a result of me prioritizing myself, but I am the vehicle that's going to raise him. So if I don't look after my vehicle, he won't have anything to look to anyway. What has he got left? Yeah. And so I always prioritize myself, and then I think it's about the unit. So how me and Nina co-parent, and then the children under those conditions will be prioritized. They will get that love. Yeah. They will get all the lessons that they need. They don't need to be number one. It's absurd. that a child can be number one with grown people around. We're the ones that's like, you know,
break it up,
managing the shit. So the idea of symbolically killing your parents is that the idea of you being a child and then being your mummy has to die off. You know, like at some point you're authentically grown and in your own decision maker. You can't be paying mortgages and then go to your mum's house and be like, you know, become small and you're scared to speak. Or she's like rude to your wife and you can't say, zero tolerance. I remember this. My grand's passed away now. Her story is a whole next thing. And I remember my brother's wedding. Incredible. We all went to Sunderland or Northumberland, and we all went up there, had an amazing time. We're in this like minivan, bus and joke all the way up. On the way back up the day after the wedding, my wife is coming into the car, but she's like a little bit slow. So my gran says something to her. Now, my gran is a G. I love this woman so much. But like, you know, as a man, it was unfair for her to speak to her that way. So I had to say something. Like, and it's no disrespect to my grandmother, but like, I am a man in my own right. There are ways that you engage with the family that I've created, and I have to manage that. I stand by that. And so sometimes, you know, people create a family, then go into their wider family, become a child, and wonder why their partners don't see them in the power that they should see them. Like, you can't be fearful at that point because you've got to be able to provide and protect them to the nth degree, regardless. Like the way she has to protect me, I have to protect them.
Yeah.
So for me, it's just like the idea of symbolically killing you disconnects that child in you from them as adults. Because they, you know, your parents then go into a child state of their own when they get older. Do you know what I mean? There's things you got to do for them that's like more paternal than what they can do for you, and that's fine. That's what the cycle of all of that is about. But I'm pretty clear that, like, you know, you can't be a child and be married because it won't work.
I love it. Yeah. No, I remember hearing you say that, and I thought, wow, it is deep. It is deep because it's that element of mother, father. Sometimes that label and that title is more powerful than it actually is. Because in reality, mum and dad are Sarah and John. They're children who are just bigger. And when they were bigger, we were smaller. So we always revered them and looked up to them. But in reality, when you strip it all away, you strip away the labels, they have their own issues, insecurities, faults, failings. So there's mum, so there's dad. And so as we grow up and we get to that same almost height, it's almost like there is that shedding away of, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You mean you make mistakes too? You mean you haven't got this all together? Well, I have as well, you know.
I think it comes down to like our inability at times as people to be present. So, and everyone's got this friend where like they talk about women and they call them girls. It's like, yeah, I saw some girls over there. I saw some girls at Carnival, but he's 40, and like the language hasn't updated because you're still in the state of like, I'm 17 going to Carnival. You're not in the present with us. You're not with us in the moment of realizing that you're a grown ass man and you're speaking to a woman, not females, like a woman. And so it happens in our language. Like you can reveal elements of like where your head's at, and it's deeply subconscious. And so when you become present to it, you realize how much you create from that position. So I wouldn't go on a date with a girl. Even the language tells me that there's a disconnect between, you know, that's wild. So I think it's not wild. It's just important. It's urgent. If you're in a marriage right now, and especially if you've got kids, it's urgent.
Yeah. I won't keep you for too long. Just a few more things I want to ask.
Bro, I'm here, you know. I'm
here.
like, this is after this act, I go to bed anyway because I'm already like the bridge of my bedtime. But I'm committed to you and whatever you need. Cool. Let me know.
You said this quote. You said, "I have to be open to the idea." So you have to be open to the idea that you will never fully be healed, and that you're always a work in progress. And you know, going through your Twitter and just hearing you speak on so many different platforms, you seem someone who's really, really invested in the inner work and doing that inner work. Why, for you, is that so important?
I think because it's actually quite addictive, to be honest. Because the second you accept that you're not perfect, everything becomes an interesting journey, actually. So as I said, like I go through a work stream, I come back out and I present myself and I live authentically, freely, openly, and then you get some rucks and some bubbles because certain things didn't necessarily go the way you want. Then you go and consider some new things and you realize like the depths of some of these traumas and some practices that are really healthy. I've been fortunate to obviously go through a series of counseling, therapy. I've had psychologists, I've had mediums, I've had Vipassana, I've done tons of meditation. So, it's the only way that I could ever consider existing. Like, for me, this realm that I'm in is fun. It's fun. Whatever happens, I'm prepared. Like, and I go to the mountains and even though I say that, like, it's not even always a physical place, but I go to the mountains and reconnect to the values. And I realize that I have to have a significant amount of discipline. So my realm right now is about discipline. Like how much time I spent places, where do I go? What do I eat? Right now I'm practicing vegan for 30 days just to test my resolve. Like I need to be disciplined. I can't be emotionally led. I can't be led by false narratives and like misinformation. I got to really be able to be in my own zone and be comfortable in my own isolation, which is a new thing for me. I would never have spent the amount of time I spent alone than I have this year. This year I've just been like a guy in the world. Normally I'm surrounded by things, people, missions. I have a big team, but right now listen, if I'm not home by 9, I'm itching. Like I depart. Like I'm the guy that departs. I'll leave wherever I'm at. I gotta go, and so I go home and I isolate. And I say isolate, but I retreat and I go and heal and I reconcile with my day and I look at myself. I try to commit some sort of act of love to myself, like every day, because when you don't love yourself, you find yourself in positions that just don't make sense.
Because you have a self-care list.
Hell yes.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, man. Like, it's got 27 things on it, but like, and it could be anything. Like right now, I just went to M&S and just run amok. It's a part of it, man. Like,
how much did you spend?
I think I spent £23.
Okay.
But M&S, that's easy. That's about 6 things, man. But like, just having those things and accessing today. That's what I wanted to give my child. My inner self. I needed that today. Some days I like, and it's funny because Tali from Dope Black Queers, who's incredible. Like I've never met a woman like this in my life, but she has a steely stillness to her that's powerful as hell. And one time on a call, we was all doing introductions, and she was like, "I'm Tali Quatin, and I'm here just what does it say? I'm just here feeding my inner child and her wishes." I was like, "What? That sounds so sick! I want to do that." And it's something that I've started to incorporate because there was 2 trains of thoughts at the time. There was one: do you create a person? This is quite deep, but like, there's an idea that we all create a person to survive the life that we live in. And then you take that person who's based on the 8-year-old version of you into adult themes and it doesn't work. So then you have to actually redesign who you are as an adult based on the values. And I was like, is that my work stream right now, to be this person and be disciplined on my values of the modern day? Or is it about just feeding my inner child for like a whole year?
Jeez, what would that be like?
Just like eating what I want, going where I want to go, sleeping and napping when I want to sleep, talking to who I want to talk to, go to play. Like me and my kids play like we're age mates. I have moments of those things, and I've rediscovered that this year. So that's what my mission is. I just want to be a child for a period of time. I've committed enough to the concept of adulthood. I want to feed this guy. Like my 6-year-old self just wanted hugs, man. I had a whole relationship with hugs. It was hilarious. That's what made me go to a lot of my coaching, was just I had a desire to be hugged and held in a way, but I couldn't ask for it for some reason. And it was just a weird thing. Like I wanted hugs from everybody. I just needed to be held, and I couldn't find the words for it. And then someone was just like, "Why don't you just ask?" I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." Like it's a bit creepy to go up to people and be like, can I hug you? They're like, what? But yeah, just ask, man.
But it's like you said, we learn too much. We learned that request in the adult world is viewed upon in a certain way. And so we
And,
hold
and it
back from it.
authentically is like, do you know what's funny? Yeah, is that I feel in my mind I'm this tiny, small, fun, light, person. But I've had to come to realize that I'm actually a presence. Like as a man, it can be deemed as threatening. It can be deemed as it took me ages to get that because I'm just so in my mind. I'm just so like la di da di da. What's going on? Ha ha ha! Just busting around. I think everything's light, but people carry real challenges around. So I've got to move in a way that's like slightly different. Do you know what I mean? Like it's funny because I was in South Africa once, and I got up. So I was having a conversation with someone who was annoying me, and I got up, and they cowered. And I was like, why would you cower? What did you think I was going to fucking do to you? Are you stupid? Like, I would never in a million years. But they're like, yeah, but you're so big. And I was like, yeah, but how would that add to that, though? I was so upset and self-indulged. I was like, how dare you call me? But it just is, man. That's how the world is. And when people carry things from their past, like you don't know. So you've got to be mindful and just be aware of like your presence at all times. That's really difficult because my insides tell me like I'm vibes. It's jokes. Like, well, go on. So but that may not be what people are experiencing. So yeah, it's a thing that I'm very aware of.
It's amazing stuff, man. Does it ever get exhausting though? Doing the inner work and going to the mountains, realizing what happens in the mountains, bringing it back to the adult world, acting it out, realizing, wow, this is working. And then another rock comes along, you're like, oh, God, I've got to go back to the mountains again. Does it ever get exhausting doing that consistent self-work?
It does. I'm exhausted now, but like, I'm just committed. I'm just committed. And I say it's exhausting from the sense of when things repeat and you think you've figured it out and they repeat and you're like, how the hell did this? I changed the thing and the thing. And when you start looking at that, you need to go to the mountains. But like, but then when things go wrong, it's really difficult, man. Because obviously we always believe the best in ourselves and the worst in others, And so when I'm sitting there feeling like I'm providing, I'll sit there and be like, I've just given you jobs and money and all they really wanted was they wanted a friend, they wanted a hug, they wanted, to feel safe. They wanted to be connected to me. Like I can't make people feel safe. My goal button is on the next thing. That's not what I do. I'm here to test you. That's what my presence in your life will be, is to push you to the best of you. The like warm, fuzzy, let's all kumbaya. It may happen along the way, but it's not the premise of my existence. It's not an energy and a frequency that I have tapped into really well. So, but around me, you will be pushed. You will do crazy, amazing things. You may cry so much. I'll cry with you and we'll hug out in that moment. But other than that, let's go do some dope, amazing things. That's my mantra. So, that's an awareness that I have now, but I didn't always have. And so it used to cause a lot of challenge for me, man.
Jeez. I mean, talking about doing the dope, amazing things. Back in the day, going to Sunday show was like, because I remember I used to always go with Diana when we were friends. And
I see you, bro. This time she's going to enemy shows, bro, because she was a friend of Kojo at the time. So it's cool.
And we were going to the show, and it was like a Sunday ritual. And, there's a way that you described Sunday show once, which was a factory of performances. And I wonder, for you, what need do you think, or do you feel that the Sunday show was fulfilling back then for people that made it so popular and grow?
Yeah, so it's funny because the story of Sunday show was I went to Kojo Funhouse and I couldn't get in one time. I feel like Chris Rock or somebody mad was there and I turned up sexy man late. Kojo and I have always been cool, so it's not uncommon that I would try, but it was just long. And I was like, I think it might have been me and Napa, but me and somebody was just like, it's like, we don't care.
I didn't want to go in anyway.
Yeah. And so I had this idea about, when you're 25 and you stop raving for the first time, you're like, I'm so mature, I didn't rave anymore. I go to parties and I drink wine and cheese. Like I had my first consciousness as a 25-year-old. So I had this event called I Hate Raving. And it was just counterculture to raving. And it was about sit down, you have a drink and like comedy and all this kind of thing. So I'd met Jamie Howard from Comedy Funhouse. And I was like, I want to watch you every week. You're hilarious. You say things, you're brave. Like how I think I'm funny, he's funny. So we did the show together. No, it was before that. I hosted the first show.
Wow.
It was a mess. It was a mess. I was wearing like some Zara white shirt and grey jumper combo with grey trousers and sharp shoes. It was a madness. It was a madness. So it wasn't beautiful. And so and then the second one I got Jamie to host it. And then we did a couple of them, like 4, and then it was like, let's move it to a Sunday, because I did it on a Saturday. It was like, don't go raving, go here. Then we did it on a Saturday, and I met with Napa, and we did his birthday party together. And then we did Sunday show. We just did it together and called it Sunday show. And so it created like a place to go for the next generation of people coming. So the alumni of Sunday show is an all-star cast, like London Hughes, Jamie Howard, Little Man, KG, Mo, Ace and Viz, DJ Slick, Dr. Cosmic. Like, it's proper everyone around her. Like Taser and Aaron Fontaine used to do like Opinionated there, which was like their discussion show. And then like Matthew Bridgman was like on my team. Rich Castillo was like, he's the comedian guy. He was like in the team as well. There's people now that are from Sunday shows. It's like a generation of people who are probably 30 odd. Ashley Jade, who was our photographer, is an incredible director. Right. It's just like, it was just an alumni of that generation. And everyone came and used it as their playground to test their concepts, to meet people, to connect, to date women, whatever, and men. But like, largely, it was just like it was a particular culture and generation of people. And so I think it just provided a home for the next generation of people. And I think that was it. And we were very lucky to have like Ed Sheeran, Daly, Wretch Free 2. We did some incredible shows with Getz. Getz is like one of my favorite people in the whole universe, by the way. But like, he used to host these shows and bring everybody down for us. And he'd be like, Marvin, I need to make some money. And I'd be like, yeah, what's going on, bro? He's like, look, let's just, this Sunday, I'm going to get everyone to come. But look, I need this number. And he would like turn up and he would bring everyone. And it would be the packed show ever. Like, we'd had 700 people, lines around the corner. It was just a really beautiful time, but it was really authentic. And it's funny, I was talking to my friend Twin the other day about this, and it was just like, I didn't actually, we weren't doing it with a mission in mind. I think that like the view on promoters was always about like promoters had an agenda, like money or girls. None of those things mattered to me. Like, I used to have this spreadsheet, which was like, this time of year, this type of artist, this price point, how many people turned up. Like, that's what my mind was on. It was just like, I wanted to know the formula. So if I get Richard and Eddie to perform, and it's £5 before, whatever, like 708 people. Okay, cool. And so we just kept on playing with this. I'll never forget one time me and Napa had an argument about booking 112, and I was like, oh, what? Yeah, I know. Like, we basically did Blackstreet, yeah, and we got burnt because it was not the real Blackstreet, and everyone had aggression. So it weren't like it wasn't the real Blackstreet. There was one guy from Blackstreet and 3 other guys who weren't Blackstreet, and like they were trying to move so fast so that no one could see their face. It was like, and so they were like, yeah, we got 112. I was like, we ain't doing 112. That's dumb. So he wins. That's my brother, by the way, Napa. Like, he wins, and we do the show. And we literally had our biggest attendance ever. We had like 800 people turn up in sound. And it was just incredible. So we just was really passionate about curating experiences and stuff like that more than anything else.
What show was the one where you said, nah, this is the last one?
There was one, yeah, and I won't mention their names, but there was 2 artists or 2 groups of artists who had real beef that we didn't know. So there's a point that me and Napa used to be, we kind of ran out of ideas because we had booked everyone at this point. We had Amarian, J. Cole, we had everyone you could think of. We did a party with Nicki Drake, we did a party with, we did a concert with Rick Ross. We were just doing everything, and there was no room left of what to think of. So we just started doing, let's call all of our friends up and like do my team versus your team, and we'll just play random games and do shit. And so we brought these 2 artists together, and they obviously didn't like each other, but I didn't know that. And we neither of us knew that. And then so I think somewhere in the break near the end, one of their entourage started fighting, and I genuinely thought this was going to be someone was going to die. It was like a very long, protracted fight that had chairs, blood. It was just violent. It was bad. And girls were like cowering and running. And I think that day it changed the mood around us. We just got too big. and it just got too much. And it was kind of the beginning of the end, really. Like we went on for maybe another 18 months, but I think that was the moment where it was like, I don't know how long this can continue.
Yeah.
And I evolved. I was getting married. I just had evolved from wanting to do events, to be honest.
Yeah. What do you think? What has your thoughts been on you see Mo from the beginning to where he is now? What are your thoughts on his, Mo Gilligan?
Yeah. I have a great relationship because I feel like, and this is my view, he's more than obviously welcome to have his, is that he came in at a point where Jamie Howard, London Hughes, and Little Man, they wanted to do more. And we had we basically had the best three wherever you can think of. So we had Durant, we had Harden, and we had Kyrie Irving. And London was like, by the way, London Hughes is one of my favorite female comedians, period. I think she was so brilliant. And she forced her way into that trio and forced her way to be a real credible thing. But it got to a point where everyone was slightly too big. Everyone wanted more. We was like 100 people in a bar somewhere. And so they left the show. And then, we had Ace and Viz for a little while. And like Napa wanted Ace and Viz and I wanted Mo. And there was just something about him where he was young, which is important, but he just had a really interesting worldview. And he was into like the grime, he would do music bits and just really brilliant comedian. And so we brought him on, and for like 5.5 years, he just nailed like every week. When he didn't turn up, people would complain.
Yeah.
Like it was that good. So he's always been brilliant. And it's like, I would never say anything like I found him or made him or if it weren't for me, because that's not, it's not even remotely true. He was always probably going to be someone because he just had it. But I'm so honored to have shared a space with him, to be honest. There's a couple of people like that I just feel really honored that at a time we coexisted. And I met some incredible people. So it's a really, really fun time for me.
I remember if he wasn't coming, we were not coming. We remember like Dan would be like, "Oh, we're going Sunday show," and be like, "Okay, cool. So who's on the bill?" We wouldn't actually look at the names; we look at the host.
That's interesting.
If Mo is hosted, it covers everything. It's fine because because there'll be times where someone will perform, it will be below par, but we were just waiting for Mo to come and comment on this.
Yeah.
So to see him, and I think one thing about it, he just hasn't stopped being him. He just hasn't stopped being the true, authentic Mo. And he, even whether it's behind the mask or masked, whatever it is, selling out shows, author, and I think that's a beautiful thing. Having people in our community who you can see their inception to where they are now, and you can actually attest to that individual. Say, "Yep, that's him. That's how how he's always been."
We used to have this thing called "fuck that joke" whenever a joke wouldn't drop, and he'd be like, "Fuck that joke," and then everyone would just feel like, "Ah!" He just. I think I've never known a chemistry like that with an audience, an intimacy, and so we did his first one-man show. And there's a point where like I wasn't managing per se, but like I told him that I got your back in this, because the thing about that, it was always like promoters would always try it, and so they would have to go through me to get him. So it just meant the money was proper. They looked after him. They respected him. And for us, he just killed it. He made our show what it was for that time, and we had obviously now like 6 incredible hosts. But I think for, the legacy of him was just the one that really coincided with us.
100%. Last question for you today. I don't know if you buy into this, but you can tell me. How important is legacy to you, and what legacy are you trying to leave?
So I'm authentically not interested in that. And I think there's a deep connection to like ego and legacy, where you believe that like what you do must mean something. I think I just want to, I actually just want to enjoy my existence, and the closest that echo that I have that kind of speaks to that is just like, what can I create for my children? What's the minimum level of experience? I care about that a lot, but I don't have a a passion about what I leave behind, to be honest. I don't overthink it. Because I look at, and it's funny because there was a point where like DMX died, Shock G died, Black Rob died, and a couple people died, and I was just like, the kind of inauthentic people coming out who were around to help these people who didn't care because they weren't hot and it didn't mean anything. Like, and it really made me think about, in that sense, like, I can't be connected to those things. You know, I think I've evolved myself maybe 5 times in different ways. Like I've reoccurred in different things, from G-Hop to Sunday Show to, you know, advertising to Dope Black, now Beloved. Like I've just, you know, I evolve authentically where I'm at, and I create things from where I am, and then whatever that creates. And I feel like I've shared space with a lot of incredible people, and I think it's because there's just something about what I create, and I don't want to overthink it and then like burden it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't critique anybody who is connected to a legacy. I'm more just about, you know, I want to create an incredible experience for myself. I want to be really good at what I do. I want to be really honorable in my interactions. I want to be able to sleep incredibly well at night. And I think that's what I've achieved today, is like that piece.
Yeah, I love that. Well, bro, your bonus question is, do you have a question for me?
Yeah, bro. Like, if you think, how did you manage to make Jesus so incredibly cool? First and foremost, you changed my whole understanding of like music from that perspective. Oh, wow. I would 1000% park it as a like, oh, okay. But you literally lit my existence up in that moment. It made me really think about quite a lot of things. I'm very hard to move because I think I've seen a lot, and it's eroded that like discovery of a lot of things. But I do remember seeing you in KICC. I remember it's commission, right? Or the
commission, yeah, commission.
Wow. And I remember walking in and just seeing, because look, I'm gonna be really honest, and I don't want to be judged. Okay, I was there based on a girl, so it was a woman who had brought me to this environment, and I was obviously trying to be very passionate and connected to the things that she was connected to, and I was, you know, considering what my next steps were going to be, and there was an array of artists, and not all of them were as impactful as you were, and you lit a match. It changed how I felt about the evening. It made me think about like music in a different way, and I've always kept an eye on what you've done since. How do you reflect on that time, like as an artist? And do you think if you came out today, it would be different?
Do you know what? I always think about that period in time, you know, when sometimes in this time wanting to recreate that time, but just realizing that I really feel that God orchestrated what we did for that time, and it was that time that it was needed. It was you walking in at that time. It was somebody at the back that needed to hear something different. And I think over the years, so many people have mentioned, oh, I used to listen to you, or that song really touched me. And it just made me know that, okay, well, we were the soundtrack for people's lifestyle at that time. And that's what and I think I've come to terms with that, and rather than try and recreate it, just appreciate it for what it was then and how we helped. And if it helps anybody in any way, amazing, because I think that's all we wanted to do. We just wanted to make music that could relate to people and make sense. Because growing up, you know, as a Christian in a Christian home, I didn't like gospel music because I couldn't connect with it. It seemed too polished, too clean, too perfect. God, we worship you, I love you. I was like, no, I'm still having struggles with even believing. So I wanted to make music that I could connect with, and I think in turn it just connected with, you know, so many other people.
That's powerful, man. Yeah. Sick, bro. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I was really enjoying that, bro.
Bro, thank you for your time, man. I seriously appreciate it. I know it's late, but thank you everyone that has joined us. 21 Questions. We've raised £20 for Mind Charity. Are you mad? Big up to everyone that
get that money in. The ballers that come through, bro. Let them know they can donate to me as well, bro. I got bills, I got overheads. Donate to me.
We got bills out here. But Marvyn, thank you, man. You know,
thank you, King.
Whatever you need, you know, I'm here, and Love you loads, and love to the family and everything.
Love you too, bro. Let's definitely catch up though. We did a little impromptu last minute gathering last week.
Oh,
It was
okay.
so good. I haven't seen no one for 18 months, so I was so gassed. You know, you're like, yeah, like hanging out with the dads. So yeah, definitely try and come to the next one, bro.
No worries,
sure.
bro. Thank you so much.
I'll speak to you later.
All right, bro. Guys, thank you for joining us for 21 questions. Let us know in the comment section how you found it. If it was of any benefit to you, if there's anything that stuck out. If it's your first time, don't worry. As soon as we finish this, we put this on the front of our page. So make sure you're following so that you can watch it back, or you can share it or send it to whoever you feel might benefit from it. But thank you so much for joining us. Rafaela says, great show. Thank you. Juliet, I see you in the building. Internet Pro, thank you for your comments and contributing to the conversation. Really appreciate that. Yemi Banks, you were in the building today. Thank you so much. Who else have we got? Coralie, oh, good to see you. We got Hassan, big up everyone that joined us, man. Very much appreciated. Made on Purpose UK, loved it. I want to hear your music now. You want to hear my music? All right, well, I'm going to put in the comment section ICIE, if you put that on Spotify. Or you can just put that into YouTube. Made on Purpose, you can check that out, ICIE. And yeah, all my music is there if you want to check it out. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for such a great evening and for joining us. I very, very much appreciate that. We're going to be back here next Thursday, 9 p.m. Yeah, I think we've got another guest coming. Please join our mailing list. We've got our events coming out. I'd love to see you in person. So jump onto the link in our bio, click on the mailing list so that you can be given the heads up on tickets when they come out, and you can join us for more amazing conversations. All right. Until then, check out season 1. Check out season 2 by checking out our IGTV channel and platform. All right. Take care, guys. God bless your hearts. I'm IC. This is the Sit Down UK. Peace.